that Solomon was no longer there, Abraham had to adjust to being the only piggy in the house, in the habitat. This was a totally new experience for him. He and Saul had always shared a habitat, and for most of his life shared a room in the habitat. Being the only guinea pig was kind of lonesome. Little Red tried to spend as much of her time with Abe as she could to fill in the gap. She held him more, let him sit on her lap a lot, gave him time to play in the bigger playpen, where she created a playground of Heidi's, tunnels. She had learned that guinea pigs like tunnels a lot. He had treats and hay and guinea pig toys. Abe did love that time in the playground. Even on his own, it was great fun, but Little Red didn't always have time to set up the playground for Abe. At first, Abe seemed quite content. He even was more active and would popcorn more than usual. He became much more at ease with Little Red as well, letting her pick him up and pet him any time she wanted to. And that's very unusual for many piggies. But after a little time had passed, Abe started seeming to be bored and sad. He stayed in his Heidi huts much more, slept a lot, and just wasn't very active. He was still eating well, so Little Red did not think he was sick, but she thought he was missing having a guinea pig buddy and a cage mate. Well, we all know the solution to that. Another guinea pig buddy. And Little Red knew that too, so she went back to the HFHA and took a good look at the piggies they had. She had always heard guinea pig boars had a good deal of difficulty making friends with each other, and especially living together in the same habitat. So she was nervous about bringing home a new guinea pig boar to live with Abe. The animal caregivers at the HFHA suggested that she bring Abe in for a play date with a few of the guinea pig boars they had to see if they could find a buddy that Abe would enjoy spending time and living with. They told her that they would be able to decipher if there was such a friend. So a few days later, Little Red brought Abe to the HFHA to meet and spend some time with some of the other piggies that were living there. First, Abe met Nutmeg, and they actually did well together. Nutmeg was about the same age as Abe, but a good deal smaller than him. They were cautious with each other at first and stayed a distance away. Then they started to relax and become curious about one another, and soon after that, the playing began. They chased each other around the makeshift habitat, ate hay together, chased and wrestled with each other some more, ate some veggies, and then lay down to rest a bit. They did not lay down beside each other, and they did a little fussing at one another about who was going to get the best spot to rest, but they did not fight. That's a win. Next, Abe met Oreo. Oreo was about the same age. Oreo was about the same size as Abe, but about 2 years younger. He was scary to Abe. He immediately started chasing Abe all around the habitat, then started climbing up on Abe, trying to convince Abe to let him be the boss. Abe didn't like that at all, and before you know it, they were both chattering their teeth at one another and butting heads. That is usually what they do before they fight badly. So the folks from the HFHA took Oreo out of that makeshift habitat and put him back in his own little house. Phew, Abe was relieved. Then they decided to see if Abe could be friends with a piggy boar named Cinnamon. Cinnamon was also younger, a lot younger than Abe. Abe was 4 years old. Cinnamon was 1, and oh so feisty. As soon as he was let loose in the makeshift habitat, he took off like a flash, running and jumping and squeaking like a wheel that needs a good oiling. All that energy completely unnerved poor Abe. He found a mound of hay and burrowed into it, hiding as best he could from the little tornado named Cinnamon. This little piggy was fun, but way too much excitement and energy for Abe. Once again, they put the wild and woolly little piggy back in his own habitat, and Abe was relieved. Little Red had to take Abe home soon. She had spent a little time holding and petting Nutmeg while Abe was meeting the other 2 piggy boars. She really enjoyed the little piggy and found him to be a sweet little guy. She decided that he was the one. Abe would soon have a new friend and cage mate to hang out with, play with, eat with, and chatter with. Little Red asked the HFHA folks when she could take him home. They had to take care of some paperwork and let their animal doctor check Nutmeg for any health issues, but told Little Red that if Nutmeg checked out well, tomorrow would be a great day to pick him up. Little Red and Abe were both super excited about bringing a new guinea pig buddy home. Little Red cleaned their habitat, created a space just for Nutmeg, made sure he had his own food bowl, water bottle, hidey hut, and a few treats and toys. Abe already had all of that, but Little Red decided to get a few new things for him as well. He had been through a lot recently, and she felt he could use some encouragement. And she wanted him to know that he was just as important to her as ever, and the new piggy would not be any more important to her than Abe. She talked to Abe about the attention she would need to give to the new guy to make sure he was okay and settling in with her and Abe without any bad feelings, too much fear or sadness. Abe got it. She also told him to try his best to make the new piggy feel welcome. He promised he would. Abe truly was happy to be gaining a new friend, and he had good feelings about this new little piggy. The next morning, Abe and Little Red woke up bright and early. It was a beautiful sunny day. Abe was scampering around, popcorning off and on, and eating the fresh hay and pellets too. Abe does love his pellets. He was nervous about the new little piggy coming to live in his habitat with him, but he was also so happy and excited. He had missed having a friend. Little Red finally got ready to make the trip to pick up the piggy named Nutmeg. She gave Abe a pat on the head and said, "See you in a bit, little friend, and I'll be bringing your new little friend too." Abe gave a wiggle of his bottom and a chirp of joy. Little Red could tell he was happy, although a little nervous. Abe tried to sleep while she was gone, but he just couldn't. He scampered about the habitat, ate some more hay and pellets, drank some of that fresh water, and tried to sleep again. This time, he snoozed a little. The next thing he knew, he heard the doorknob turning. It squeaked when it was turned. And in walked Little Red with the carrier holding Nutmeg. The moment had come. Little Red walked over to the habitat, opened the carrier, and out came Nutmeg. She placed him in his area of the habitat, which for now was separated from Abe's by a fence partition, similar to the one she used between Solly and Abe after they fought. She did this because the HFHA folks had suggested it for a couple of days to give the two piggies an opportunity to get to know each other from a bit of a distance before placing them together in the same room. While that fence was there, the two piggies would stand nose to nose with each other right at the fence, squeak and wheek at each other, eat hay beside each other, and rest beside the fence, also beside one another. They did seem to be doing very well. So the third day into it, Little Red was home all day, and she decided to remove the fence and see what would happen. At first, the two piggy boars were just a little too excited, chasing each other and climbing on each other, sniffing each other. Piggies do that a lot. And nose-butting, like a little punch with their noses. They did this for such a long time that Little Red was worried they were being too wild and crazy and going to end up sick or one of them getting hurt. So she decided that since it was getting late and they were still at it, she would put the fence back so they would have to take a break. The next thing you know, Little Red looked in the habitat, and there they were, beside each other at the fence, both out like burnt-out light bulbs. They were both sound asleep and twitching. They were dreaming of all the fun they had had chasing each other and wrestling and eating and chasing each other some more. The next morning, Little Red removed the fence permanently. Abe definitely had a new friend, and Nutmeg did as well. It was a good day. Little Red also decided that Nutmeg's name didn't really suit him either. While she was watching the two piggies play together, the thought came to her that her new piggy reminded her of a baby kangaroo, his coloring, and the way he could jump. She decided to name him Joey. That's what baby kangaroos are called. From that day until now, Joey and Abe became truly good piggy mates. They live in the same habitat that Little Red built for Abe and Solomon, but she did add some extra space to it and changed it a little to make it more fun for Abe and Joey. She wanted them to be the happiest piggies ever. To this day, they are absolute buddies. The story of the three little piggies, guinea pigs that is, has turned into a 4-part story. So please stay tuned and watch for part 4 as I finish telling the tale of my 3 precious guinea pig boars. They are sweet, and I'm looking forward to telling you the end of the tale of Little Red and her 3 little piggies. Come back to see us.